Have you heard of this left-hand accompaniment? It's called Alberti bass. You might know it from that Mozart piece, which goes that piece. It's called Alberti bass. Everything I talk about in this video is a useful, common technique used for the left hand and the right hand in piano. It doesn't matter if it's jazz, I'll do some jazz, or some blues or boogie woogie, or classical. So you can personalise them into technical exercises. This one is quite good to do with both hands. Maybe go up into different keys using that same pattern, because you're going to see it quite a lot in piano. So that's quite a nice one. I'm going to make this video a lot shorter than 30 minutes like the old one was, hoping that you're going to take them away, personalise them and do your own thing with them. And if you'd like me to expand on any of these into a longer video, just focusing on one or two, then I will do that. So that's the Alberti bass, 1 5 3 5, 1 5 3 5. That's it. And you can make up your own little melodies as well. Try with majors and minors. Maybe alternate between the two. Do it with your eyes closed. All good things. Next one is the open chord in the left hand. Of course, it depends what chord you're playing, but the most common one to begin for beginners is to play the root, the 5, and the octave. And if you want, you can cross over the thumb and play the 3 on top as well. Now, this can be different time signatures. So this one would be 1 2 3 4, of course. Very, very common accompaniment for piano composition. You just play anything. You can just play the major scale of the chord you're in here, and you can get some nice melodies. I'll just play a bit of pedal as well, completely random. Now look how my left hand is playing it in different ways, because you don't only need to do it in that straight way like this. You can move it around a bit into that Alberti thing. But you're just making it longer. So let's just do it with the index finger coming over the thumb. So that's going to come into the time signature of 3 4 or 6 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6. So that's a nice little left-hand thing to do as well. Try that in different keys. Move between different keys as well. Play the major scale in the right hand as a nice accompaniment. People think you're really, really good. Sounds very nice. The other one is the 3 4 time signature stride, common from Chopin music. It's where you play, let's move to a different key. Let's move to the key of F. I can't go too low because of my tripod. Let's go to F this time. So the idea is that you play the bass with your little finger. Pedal keeps that down. Then you play the root position of the chord, so 1 3 5. And then you move up, so that's beat 1. That's beat 2. And then you just move the bottom note to the top and keep the other two the same. So that's called first inversion. So instead of it being 1 3 5, it's now 3 5 1. And that sounds quite nice. You might want to just get used to that without the left hand going all the way down. And of course this works with minor as well. And if you put that with the left hand and time it as 1 2 3 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Very, very, very common in Chopin music. Very nice technical exercise or technique to use. Let's do it in A minor, etc., etc. So that's quite a nice thing to do. Now, one with the right hand is octaves. Octaves can be played closed. Let's demonstrate on the note of B flat. They can be closed. Just playing the major scale of B flat there. Nice way to get used to this, just to get the feeling, is just to play up and down the major scales like this. Etc. Just to get the feeling of the octave. And now they can be opened, ascending, or open, descending. Open, ascending, you play the thumb before the little finger, or the ring finger if you're playing the black notes in my case. I normally put the ring finger on the black notes when I'm playing music. If I'm doing it as a technical exercise, okay, it'll be the little finger, but I do like to put my ring finger on the black notes when it's actually melodic, because it seems to be closer actually than the little finger, you see? Economy of movement. So you can do anything open. Maybe do it over a chord. So the thumb is playing before the little finger. That's very, very much in my particular style. And then, of course, descending, you play the top note first. Very, very common technique. Play around with chords, chromatics. Here I'm doing open, descending, while ascending the chromatic. So now I'll do open, ascending, while descending the chromatic. See? And of course you can do it with the left hand as well. Do them together. Descending. Just get used to all these variations, or do one after the other, which is quite fun. So doing ascending. All these kinds of things. It makes you sound really good, but it's nothing really too complicated, is it? Now, another one, there's timestamps below, of course, you can jump around to these. The next one is, it says, melody as chord tones. Now, this is a sort of jazz improvisation thing as well, but you could even use it in composition. It's where you just take a chord or a chord progression, at least to make it somewhat interesting. Let's just take two simple chords. D minor 7, and let's do another chord, something different. B7. Two unexpected chords that don't normally go together. It's kind of nice. So let's do those. And the idea is that you make a melody, but you only play the notes of the chord, but you move them around a bit, and it sounds quite nice. So you can put the left hand accompaniment in, maybe 2 beats each, or 4 beats each. Let's just do it without the left hand first. So I can see the shape of D minor 7 all over the piano. It's everywhere. The whole piano become, not D minor 7, D minor 7, 4-note chord. But the whole piano is D minor 7. So I'm just going to make a little melody, and I'm going to break it up into sort of, you might call it inversions, but just, I'm going to see those notes and play them anywhere. That kind of thing. I did B7 earlier, so let's do that again. And then, of course, you do that with the left hand in it if you want. That kind of thing. So you make it jazzy, or you can just make it into a composition. You can do it without any time signature and just roll around a bit. With the left hand, blending it with maybe some Alberti bass if you want, or just moving the chord around with the left fingers how you want in freestyle. Put some octaves in the right hand. You get some quite nice sounds. See what I mean? Just play around, sounds very, very pretty. So that was that one as well. Now, I've got a little note here of something I call energy puddles, and that's about the position of your arms and fingers at the piano. For me, I always sit in front of middle D when I'm sitting down at the piano. I'm slightly off center because of the tripod, but when I sit at any piano, I'll plop myself in front of middle D, because then everything's symmetrical for me and my arms and fingers are just used to the distances. So that increases precision because you get used to where your arms have to go. Next thing is the actual puddle. You don't want anywhere where if it were water, it would form a puddle. So in other words, you want, of course, your shoulder above your elbow, otherwise you're sitting on the floor. And then the elbow a tiny bit above the wrist, and the wrist a tiny bit above the first knuckle line, and then above the next, and then above the fingertips. Even if it's a gentle slope, you don't want anything like this. You don't want a puddle here, or some weird puddle here, or something here. You don't want anything weird. It gives you a bit more power. And the best way to fix that, and control, best way to fix it is to move further back and further up. That's going to help you a lot. Right, let's turn this over and have a look at the next ones. I've got chromatics. Chromatics is good for the left and right hand. You'll see it in lots of music, in jazz improvisation. Some melodic, some classical melodies have, some chromatic movement somewhere. It all sounds very nice. So I have a nice exercise to help you with generally playing chromatics. Some people, when you play the thumb on the white note, some people play the index finger naturally on the black note. That is fine. Apart from the crossover one, of course, your index. Index. For me, it's natural to put the middle finger on them and use the index on the white notes. That's just more natural for me. So do your natural fingering, but the exercise is simply to go over. Some people have seen this, but in case you haven't, you just go over you start on C, you go over the first 2 black notes, back down, over them again, but over the 3 black notes, and back down, and then over them again, but over the 2 black notes, and you just keep repeating that. Now you can of course get this to a faster speed, something like this. You can do it faster, of course, but it's not about that. That just comes from years of doing it. But just try to get some steadiness in execution. I like this term. I'm doing it staccato as well. Most technical exercises are best done staccato. So that's a nice thing to do with chromatics. Now, if you mix that with jazz and doing what I said earlier about playing notes of the chord, D minor 7, B7 I used earlier, so I'll just use those again to keep it all on the same page. You can connect melodies using the notes of the chord with a little bit of chromatics. So instead of playing like F, A, C, D, you might play F, A, B flat, B, C. Something like that. And that gives you that extra jazz edge. And then from here you might go chromatically up to the F, down to A, chromatically down to the F. A, C, D, F, chromatically up to the A, chromatically up to the C maybe. D, F, A, chromatically down to the F. So if you put all that together, do I change chord? I'll stay on D for the time being so I don't confuse you. So you just get used to doing things like that. That's quite nice. And of course in the left hand, it's nice to I mean, you can only practice by doing it. There's nothing else to say really, but it's nice to get little patterns. So you might just sort of do little patterns like this, stopping on different notes each time. That's a nice one. So each time I stop to one note lower, 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 lower. And of course doing it descending as well. Get the idea. Mess around with the left hand doing chromatics is the conclusion of that. Another thing in jazz is the lilt feeling, where you emphasize beat 1.5 and 3.5. So it goes something like 1, because normal straight, not swing, just straight feel is when you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I'm playing a C9 chord, 3, 7, 9. 2, 3, 4. It's very marchy. But if you go, so straight is this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's not jazz. That's just straight march. But if I go 1 and 2, 3 and 4, but that isn't on the 50% point. I'm not going, because otherwise it would be, it's exactly in the middle. See, I'm just going, that would be 1 and 2, 3 and 4. It's still straight. It's not very exciting. So you want it to be, of course, there's mathematical, musical reasons for this. You can go and research in more detail. But just for now, the feeling is you're doing it just after the halfway point. So sort of 70% through the bar, through the beat. So it's kind of 1 and 2. You're doing it just before the 2, 3 and 4. And 2, 3 and 4. And that's called jabbing. And so the idea is in jazz, when there's no bass player or drummer to help you with the rhythm, you have to feel that 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3. And a nice way to practice that is with blues, like I've just done here. Nice little segue. You play just a nice little chord sequence here. This is chord 1 in the key of C, 3, 7, 9. And then a chord in the key of F, you're playing dominant 7, 3, and the 6 on top. That's your 13th voicing. And they're just really close together, and you only move 2 notes, half a step down. So you just have a 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, that kind of thing. And just put a little, maybe put the blues scale in if you want, which is root, minor, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 7, dominant 7. You can just stay in one blues key, and it will work in C and F. It will work in chord 1 and chord 4. So you just want to get used to playing this. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you get the feeling? It's a lilt. So play around with that. It's very, very important. And remember these voicings: 9 and the 13. Just the lower 2 notes are moving down half a step. This is currently a 9. It's going to become the 13 in the key of F. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, as if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 up here. But I have other videos on that, of course, in more detail. But it's nice to get used to practicing that lilt: 1 and 2, 3 and 4. The other thing I have written down is the boogie, left-hand boogie woogie. I have 2 or 3 videos on this in much more detail, but it's a nice little exercise to try anyway. There's lots of left-hand patterns, and I'll just give you the most common ones. So the first one is where you're just doing a simple walking bass, but you're doing an octave above as well. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you can swing the blues, but it's more straight. So let me just do it straight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm playing the chord of 1, 3, 5 and 6, but I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's like that. But you can swing it if you want. Can you feel the difference between straight, swing, straight? Anyway, so that's a nice little left-hand one to do. And the other one is the shuffle, where you take 1 and 5 and alternate with 1 and 6. Now you can go all the way up to the 7 as well if you want, and have that sort of movement on top. But this is a nice little one to get used to. Or you can put the top flat 7 in there. So that's a nice one to do. And you can, of course, open that, which I don't really, that doesn't come naturally to me. Do that as well. And of course you move up to chord 4 and 5 afterwards. C, etc. Chord 5, chord 4, chord 1 in the key of F. Now in the right hand, very, very quickly, a very, very common thing to do is that you slide off of the minor or the flat 5 if you can. So the key of C, you can slide off the minor and the flat 5. Or like that, or both. Now if you mix those into little patterns, you have that kind of thing. And if you put the 7 on top, you can put them all together. And you can have a nice little pattern where you go flat 5 to the 5 with the 7 on top, 4 and 6, and then 1 and 3 and 5 here, but slide off the minor. And of course the thumb is giving you that and 2 and 3 and 4. So with the left hand, let's do it in the key of F. So from the shuffle, with the shuffle one, for example. It's quite a nice one to do. So you get the idea. You can just mess around with there. Now and I've got other videos on that, of course. So the last one here, where are we at? Okay, fine. Right hand rapid arpeggios, super important, very much my personal style. These kind of with both hands. It's very much my style to do. And it's not showing off, it's just a natural style. I'm just playing a song, whatever it is. Just kind of, not all the time like that, but that's just the idea. It's very much in my style. How to do rapid arpeggios? It's all in the thumb. So you take a chord like, let's say E7, and it's the octave jump of the thumb, because the other fingers know where to go. They're expecting the thumb to land in the right place, so they can fall on the right place after. So you have to realise that the other fingers, whatever the chord is, that's E7. It could be whole diminished. It could be 7 with a flat 5. It could be augmented. It could be minor 6, minor 7. It could be anything. Half diminished. Doesn't matter. It's the thumb that lands first. So you have to get used to the octave jump for going up. So let's just do like a half. I said 7. So this one. So slowly, it's going to be. So you want to get used to going and only doing the octave with the assumption that these are going to land in the right place. So you want it to sound like it's one. It sounds like as if your thumb isn't doing it because it's too far away. It's almost like it's. But you're doing it with only one hand. And you go up like that. Let's do a simple one with D minor 7 we've been using recently. So D minor 7. It's all on that thumb octave being absolutely perfect. So really work on the thumb octave, and of course on the way down it depends if it's little finger or ring finger. So C7, it's the ring finger. Same thing. On the way up it's the thumb. On the way down it's the ring finger. It doesn't matter what it is. What chord gives me a little finger on the right hand? I use my ring finger. My little finger can be done with. I'm trying to think of a chord that uses my. Has to be an octave, I think. So just E flat. major, let's say. On the way down, it's going to be the little finger. So, oh, too far. It's that kind of thing. But it's the thumb on the way up. So that's rapid arpeggio. And of course, in the left hand, it's the same thing. Little finger. On the way down, it's the thumb. I can't go too far, but you get the idea. So mess around with that. That's all I've written down. If you put them all together and you start to scan music, you'll see that these are the main things that happen. Melodies, so let me just talk through them quickly. The Alberti bass is a very, very, very common accompaniment. You can open up a chord 1, 3, 5, sorry, 1, 5 octave, or 1, 3, 5 as well. 1, 5 octave. You can put the 3 on top and get these kind of accompaniments. The stride is very, very common. Doing it with an inversion. If you look at Chopin music, you'll find it everywhere. E flat, that famous piece. It begins like that. The melody is the chord, so you just take any chord, play the notes of the chord, and make it into a melody. It sounds very interesting. Most jazz is based on notes of the chord. A lot of melodies in jazz highlight notes of interest, like the 9 and the 13 and the sharp 11, all these fancy notes, but they're part of the melody. Just thinking of the lovely song Pure Imagination from the Willy Wonka film. The melody is on the F minor 7 chord, but that lovely note is an 11, 8, 9, 10, 11 in the key of F. That's why it sounds so nice. It sounds so pretty. So that, he didn't end on the minor because it's boring. It's just boring. Put the 11 in. And then the second time around, it's on the 9. It goes on. So the melodies in jazz are often based on the notes of interest. Anyway, if you put all those things together, I hadn't finished yet, but if you put them together, you're going to get nice results. Okay, fine. Energy puddles. Don't sit too close. Don't sit too low. Do the chromatics. They come out everywhere. It doesn't matter what you're trying to play. Chromatics are everywhere, rapidly or just in little melodies. Both hands, of course. The jabbing, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, really get that down. The voicing, 9, 13. That's what I've written here in blues, 1 and 4, chord 1, chord 4. Of course, you can go to chord 5 if you want. 5, 4, 1. And then some boogie woogie stuff if you want to, but I've got videos on that. And then a rapid arpeggios. You really can do it with 1 octave if you want, but it's a very nice, it's just a nice thing to do. It just makes you sound pretty good. So there you go. If you put all that together, people are going to be quite impressed. As always, likes, comments, subscriptions are always welcome. Have a look at my video management website, Waterpin and Syllabus, that's Patreon, and all my playlists. And I'll see you in the next video. All the best, and bye for now.